May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to the Funhouse.
I'm Chris Grega of 88mm Films, writer and director of a brand new action horror feature film, Night At Skye. It's a story of a robbery gone wrong that turns into a blood-soaked nightmare.
I'm Chris Macke, producer on Night At Skye. And here's the best part. It's already in the can. That's right, we're 100% wrapped, shot, and we're already in post-production.
I'm Brock Roberts, actor and producer of Night At Skye. And yeah, on top of being in post, this film has a ton of blood, lots of action, and practical effects.
Our cinematographer is Eric Stanzi of Wicked Pixel Cinema, and our editor is Jeff Wedding of Gypsy Root Films. Both of these guys have a deep love of horror and decades of experience working in the genre.
As a company, we've been at this for quite a while, producing a wide variety of films.
War, comedy, horror, we've done it all.
So you might be wondering why we're here then. Well, the answer is simple. We're looking for finishing funds so we can push this film to the next level.
We're looking to put the cherry on top and really make this film shine with the purchase of copyrighted music and enhanced special effects.
This film is going to kick some serious ass, and it's going to get finished either way. But this campaign is going to allow us to get it done quicker, to make the best possible movie we can.
So that's pretty much it. We're in post-production on a killer film with buckets of blood, buckets of bullets, and a badass cast. What more could you ask for?
What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is. Let's get into this. All right, what's up, horror fam? We got a cool thing going on tonight. We've got Chris Grega, Chris Macke, and Brock Roberts from 88mm Films in the house with us tonight. And they're going to talk about some of their movies. They've got a new movie that they're in post-production with right now. And they're going to give us a lowdown on what they've got going on. So let's get them in here and find out what it's all about. What's up, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
What's up? Man. All right, so go around and introduce yourselves so our people know who you are.
I'm Chris Grega, writer, director, founder of 88mm Productions / 88mm Films.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm Brock Roberts. I'm an actor and producer and partner with Chris Grega and Chris Macke at 88mm Films.
And I'm Chris Macke. I'm a partner with 88mm Films, actor and producer of Night At Skye, which is what is our current feature film that's in post.
Nice,
awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, good, man. We are so glad to have you guys here tonight. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, but big thing is we're going to talk about your movie.
Yeah. You know, we like to, we'll get into the movie and everything, but we also like to let our people know a little bit about you. What got you into the filming and the acting and the producing kind of thing. And I know you guys do a plethora of different types of films, like comedies and actions and stuff like that. But you also do horror, and you guys like horror, so that's what we're all about. And so, what kind of got you into the horror genre, so to speak? On and you guys, whichever one you guys
making
first.
Films.
Yeah, making films with it.
Which one do you want to hear first?
Either one
just
of them.
any of them. Just any of them.
Yeah, what got you into film, Chris?
Oh, it's a great story. So I went to high school with a couple of guys. You might know this one guy, Eric Stanzi of Wicked Pixel Cinema.
Okay, yeah. Name sounds familiar.
Local St. Louis, legendary local St. Louis horror filmmaker. although we never talked in high school at all. But we had a mutual friend, Tom Biondo, that he was also a aspiring filmmaker. And he was, I'd say he was one of my best friends, if not my best friend. And he used to make movies with Eric. And Tom and I used to make movies. We'd do like Star Wars movies and Indiana Jones.
Nice.
And stuff like that with live action figures and everything. And I still have some of those, by the way. They're terrible, but they're also awesome.
And those movies are coming out next week.
They are. They're our biggest sellers. So Tom used to always try to get me involved working with Eric, because Eric was a real filmmaker, a serious filmmaker, and Eric is very serious. But I always told him, that sounds like a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money. I just kind of want to have fun, not do it for real. So I guess this was back in 1996. That tells you any idea how old I am. I was 3. No, 1996.
I was 10.
Damn, you
I won't tell you how old I was.
Maggie was 40 with a mortgage. So in 96, Tom directed me in this film that starred me and Eric, and it was kind of a horror psychological film called Survive. And Eric was this ghost, and I was like this veteran guy, and it was a pretty fun experience. And he's like, "Hey, you got the bug? Do you want to start doing it for real?" I was like, "No." It was cold. It was long. It was cool, but no, screw that. So then a couple years later, he was working on this documentary. He was working as a camp counselor up in Wisconsin, and he was making a documentary about the whole experience.
That's Tommy, right?
That was Tommy, yeah. And so one day they're out shooting, and he was filming, and he was on a trailer being pulled by a truck. The truck stops. He goes to jump off, and when he jumped off, he tripped. And since he was holding the camera, he cradled the camera. Well, anyway, he fell and he hit his head on the curb, and then he was brain dead.
Oh my God!
So he passed. 2 days later, he passed away. This was 1999. He was 26. I was 27 years old. And when that happened, that is the moment I decided to become a filmmaker for real. Within a month, I started making my first short film. And when I started doing that, the only thing I knew about actual filmmaking was action meant go, cut meant stop, and you had to keep track of the number of takes for the editor. That's it.
He's learned one or two things since then.
Yeah, a couple.
And basically, I haven't stopped since.
Nice.
So that's all I got to say.
So kind of doing it, for yourself, but also kind of to
An homage
homage to him and honor him.
That's
Exactly.
cool, man.
See, that's all, and that's what we like. See, so the reason why I asked
Damn,
people,
Chris, that's a shitty story, dude.
I've got some other ones, too. Stick around.
The reason why I ask people this stuff when we interview them and things, because I want our listeners and our followers and people to know that you're passionate about what you do. And, because when you're passionate about something, you're going to put your all into it, and it's going to be real. That's like our podcast. We love what we do to the fullest. We don't, we don't edit ourselves at all. Like we love what we do, and people see that. And all of our followers and our, horror fam, we call them, all of our horror fam, they're all organic. We have never spent any money to buy followers. We hardly ever promote ourselves.
Talking tonight, we hardly ever promote ourselves.
But we get out there.
But we've got a decent following.
People come on our podcast and they love it, and they're like, "Man, you guys are awesome. We're going to have you back, and we want to come back on." And it's just so, and that's what I want our followers to know, that you guys are passionate about what you do, so they know that you're putting your all into it, and people are going to appreciate that a lot more, I think.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
It's funny you say about passion, because that's what brought me on to 88 millimeter films. Is the passion is what Chris and the team prior to bringing Brock on board, and what they've done has really influenced me. What's the tagline of the hardest working what?
the working class independent since 1999.
Yeah, the working class independent. So you have to have passion in independent film. So that's a key point. I'm glad you picked up on that because, yeah, it's something we have a mutual common. But, man, you got to be passionate if you're going to do independent film and thick-skinned for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And you have to be kind of dumb.
and that too.
I check all the boxes.
Hey, that works for us. That works for us.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see. And for us, we're horror movie fans, of course, and but we're also like we're in the paranormal and basically everything that's creepy and kind of strange out there because it's a genre that we love because you watch it and it takes you away from all the bull crap. You just go watch a nice horror movie and you know what you're going to get and that's what you want and that's it. Yeah. And we like to introduce people to directors and actors and producers and authors and all that stuff, because for us it keeps the genre alive. And, I think that's really important because as Hollywood is slowing down so much. Right. And really the independent directors and, producers and actors are what's feeding the fire for a lot of it,
Absolutely.
I love it. I've been sticking independent work for a long time. I've been acting for quite a long time, and how I got into acting is right out of high school. Actually, in high school, I wanted to act, but I was a jock. I couldn't do both, and actors are dorks, and
I wouldn't have ever
never getting hot chicks.
Yeah.
So right out of high school, I went to college and got into theater, and I decided I liked it. I wasn't very good at the theater aspect of it. They're kind of a different type of person. But I've got great actor friends who do a lot of theater, but I immediately went into commercial work and independent film work, a lot of crappy films. I cut my teeth on student films, and I decided to really go for it probably right when I was 19. And I was watching TV with my dad, and I was watching Roseanne. And at the end of Roseanne, the outtakes, they're always goofing off and having a good time, and it's just like a whole lot of fun. I was like, man, this is cool. And then right after Roseanne went off, Baywatch came on. And I'm looking at Pam Anderson and all these hot chicks in bikinis, and I look at my dad, who was in the Navy in the later part of Vietnam. I said, Dad, you've been all around the world. Where do you find these kind of women? I was, 19-year-old horny guy.
Yeah. I'm a 36.
And he said, son. Well, my dad says, son, you're right. I have been all around the world. He started naming off all the countries he's been to. And he says, the only spot I've ever seen women like that is right there on the TV. I said, well, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah.
Well,
and then all of a sudden there's Brock running down the beach with Pam Anderson.
Exactly. That would have been sweet.
Well, it's funny. You're talking about doing student films and things like that. And, I mean, look at one of our all-time favorites, and in the horror genre, it's one of the legends is Evil Dead.
Sure,
I mean, and that's what that was originally. Is just student film. And, I mean, and it's a classic, a legendary movie.
Well, it is, and I've done lots of movies all across every genre, and the horror films are actually the most fun to be in. They just are. There's always something kind of cool to look at. It's something scary. You get to create the moment for people to start getting the goosebumps on the back of their neck and wondering what's going to happen next. And that's there's a skill set to that, and I really enjoyed trying to get that on camera. Chris and I did our first horror film together called Sound of Nothing, and that was actually the first film I was one of the main producers on. And Chris brought me on board on that, and I was also one of the actors. I was not the lead actor, but I was a supporting actor, and I guess one of the main producers on it. And I learned a lot how to produce, and also what it's supposed to be like on an independent film set and making a horror movie like you're talking about. And it was just a great experience. And of couple years later, we decided to team up and push 88 millimeter into a whole nother level, which we're doing now with Red Night At Skye.
Right.
Awesome.
And that's really, I guess, where I was brought on board was to try to take the company to a different level. My background's in business. You know, I'm an actor, I'm a stage actor, and Chris got me into film.
One of those stage actors.
Right, exactly. It's still my passion. Films are cool, but you know, the stage is, you get one shot, right? You can't screw it up. There's no retakes. But you know, doing the research for coming off of Sound of Nothing, and doing the research for who's passionate about movies, right? Horror fans are passionate about their movies.
Absolutely.
They're going to see it. They're gonna follow you. If you got something going, I mean, look at some of the horror icon people, you know, that are out there, some of those actors out there. You know, you take your Mosleys and some of the people that have been like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Right. You look at some of those folks and they got a big following. So we looked at it, and I looked at it from a business sense too, and said, who's passionate about movies, right? And these guys came up with this, coming off Sound of Nothing, and then coming off and saying, hey, Red Night, you know, this makes sense from passionate people, horror followers, you know, plus from a business sense, right? You're going to have an automatic following for something that, you know, if you put it together right, which I think we've done in this case for Red Night At Skye.
We're hoping so.
Yeah, that, you know what, people are going to be attracted to it. You know,
right.
So
that's got to be one of the coolest things in the world. Like Brock touched on that a while ago. You guys are making movies for passionate people that we dream about watching. You know, I mean, that's got to be cool. You know.
Yeah, you know, and not only that, but like, so the passion part about it. What's cool about that is that horror fans, us being huge horror fans, know we like the B-rated movies.
Oh, absolutely.
We like that stuff. You know what I mean? Because, like he just said, that's the movies we would love to see. But big time, you know, Hollywood. Oh, we're not gonna touch that. But you know, that's what people want to see.
It's a subculture. You know, it's a fantastic, huge subculture globally.
Yes.
And they're all passionate all around the world. And that's one reason we stuck with this genre coming out of the gates here, right, post-COVID. And this was just probably a really good vehicle to keep catapulting us into not Hollywood, but big Indywood.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my favorite directors are Ridley Scott, John Carpenter, Walter Hill.
Yes.
John Carpenter. Let's give a little bit of an applause for John.
I'll give you that.
You got to applaud John Carpenter.
The man.
I agree.
The thing I like about I like smart horror films. Like The Thing is a very smart movie.
Yeah.
Right. The first Alien film. The first two are spectacular. The first Alien film is just a smart horror film. Right. And whenever I mention Walter Hill, nobody knows who Walter Hill is. Walter Hill has had his hands in a lot of different films.
I thought he was a guy in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Wrong Walter. Okay.
Like one of my favorites by him is Southern Comfort.
Oh, okay.
If you've seen that, it's a fantastic movie.
Yes.
And it kind of skirts the line of horror, but it definitely it falls within that realm, I think.
Yeah, and I think for horror fans, you know, with Carpenter, he was just so great at atmosphere. Yeah, and I mean he did everything. He did music. He did he was just, you know,
and it's funny. We've heard a lot of people, compare him to a control freak, and I don't see him like that. He wasn't a control freak. He had a vision, and he knew what he wanted.
He knew what we wanted.
He knew what we wanted.
I know. You're right. He knew what he was trying to do and how he was trying to put it out. That story came first, and let's put all the elements together, but you got to do it my way or it's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. Right. You know, it's funny because we have a friend of ours. So I love horror movies and I love movies in general, but I love horror movies and things like that. But like, I could never I can never, do what you guys do, is probably like directing and producing and things. I don't know if I could do that. Acting, I might be able to, be able to do that. I don't know.
You act like an ass all the time.
That is not an act. That's not an act. But anyways, no. I see it a lot though. As a fan, I'm like, dude, that book would make a freaking. We have a friend of ours, D.A. Roberts, and he writes horror novels, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I would love to see his books written or made to movies. And I see things like that. I'm like, dude, that would be so awesome as a movie. And that's what's cool about, independent directors and production.
And that's what's cool about these guys is, them coming up with an idea and putting that to film,
No matter what,
I'd love to do something
else,
like that.
Yes. No matter what someone else, what's in or what people consider to be in, you're going to do what you're passionate about and do it and put it out there. And that's why we really appreciate the independent, aspect of everything. Yeah. Same thing with music.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So tell us about Red Night at Skye's.
Well, Red Night at Skye's, it's a action horror film. It tells the story of a veteran who's out of work.
You're good.
We just lost somebody. What's going on? We're gonna cut this up?
Nah, we'll get. We don't. He's got a. Actually, JT he builds all of his own. He does a huge display out here for Halloween and stuff like that. But he literally hand makes everything. And it looks ridiculous. So he's been working on it, and his his air compressor just kicked on.
I thought somebody's out front stealing it.
It's like doing independent film, man. You just roll with it.
And exactly, that's our whole point. Like, people like this. I don't know if you guys
I like the atmosphere.
Well, people like when you're listening to podcasts, people just like to hear real conversations, and this is a real conversations.
Yeah, shit happens, man.
Exactly. Especially with this guy around.
Can't get any more real than the air compressor kicking on. Sorry about that, guys.
What kind of low-budget outfit is this?
Yeah.
We're talking about 88.
Exactly. Us too. Don't worry about it. But
anyway,
go ahead.
Red Night at Skye's story of a out-of-work veteran, Cole Boyd. He's got a dying wife, 2 young kids, father to take care of, and he's pretty much out of options. And he has a buddy, a best friend, who's also a veteran, who brings him in on this plan to rob this pawn shop, Skye's pawn shop in the next town over. Except it's not just a pawn shop; it's a front for these meth-making bikers.
Nice.
So
that sounds like this area.
Our hero and his buddy have a couple other buddies. They go in on this plan to rob this place, except naturally things turn out to be not what they seem.
Awesome.
So there's a whole sort of wild, crazy, bloody ride down in the basement with cannibals and experimentation and lots of blood and lots of bullets. Blood,
Gotcha.
Guts, bullets, everything kind of goes south and sideways.
Sounds like a great movie.
I liked in your campaign video, there's buckets of blood and buckets of bullets.
Yes.
Literally, buckets of blood.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't want to give too much of the movie away, but where did you come up with the concept for the movie?
So we were working on this film, a boxing film called Cruiser. And when I say boxing film, it's really a fighting film.
Yeah, very much.
And that's a story. The characters are kind of similar, the main characters, except the main character in Cruiser is kind of a guy who's fucked up everything in his life, and he kind of put himself in this really shitty situation where he's forced to fight or they'll kill him if he loses, right? Anyway, we put a lot of everything we had into making Cruiser.
Not money.
And then COVID came and just tore everything apart. Had to give all the money back we raised, which was a considerable amount of money. We were in a pretty bad spot. So I was like, all right, we can't make Cruiser, so what are we going to do? And at the time, I had just got done watching Green Room. You guys, have you seen that?
I have not seen
I heard
that.
of it. I have not seen
Oh,
it.
Green Room, it's fantastic. It's the same guy who did Blue Ruin. If you haven't seen Blue Ruin, watch that. And God help me, I can't remember the director's name, but the film's a fantastic little movie made for about $250,000 or less, maybe like $150,000. Their follow-up film to that was Green Room, and that has Patrick Stewart in it playing a bad guy, and a bad guy. And it pretty much all takes place in the green room of this little punk rock club in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Oh, right on.
And the band plays there, and they see some shit they're not supposed to see, and they get trapped there, and they got to find some way out. So I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we did a similar situation where we have our heroes in some place in the middle of nowhere where they're trapped, and they got to figure out a way out. Now, on the surface, they're similar, but they diverge. They're very different movies.
Yeah.
But that's what gave me the idea, because I was in a pretty low place when COVID hit and Cruiser fell apart.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's a big, blood-soaked action, like kind of like Walter Hill, kind of skirts the line of horror. I would say it falls in the same universe as Red Knight, and it's not horror, but it's not a straight-up action movie. Anyway, when that all fell apart, I was feeling pretty low, so watching this movie gave me inspiration, like, wait a minute, okay, we can put together a modest budget, and we can do this film on, with a handful of locations.
Yeah, that's something we were just talking about.
And I wanted to ask you about that. What do you do? So I know you guys are in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Are you filming everything in St. Louis surrounding area?
The metropolitan area, within, let's say, a 50, 100-mile radius.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm pretty... in my little town that I grew up in, I know quite a few people. So we get a lot of free locations and really cool locations for a lot of the films we shot. And just we turn them into something that you wouldn't expect to see in a small town. It's pretty amazing that just knowing people and being good friends, what they're willing to give.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To be and to have something of theirs be in a movie.
Yeah, I'm actually from a small town. I moved down here when I was 9, but I used to live in Winfield, up there, right outside Troy, up there by St. Louis, Moscow Mills area. So we're right up in that journey. There's a lot of areas out there that are perfect for filming horror and stuff like that, or actually anything. I mean, really, you get out in the country, it's...
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I grew up in Chris's neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I grew up in Arnold.
Yeah, that's...
In fact, my sister lives in Imperial.
That's where I grew up, in Imperial.
Right. Yeah, I read through your bio, and I was like, oh, my God, he grew up in Imperial.
Yeah.
And I lived there for a long time before I moved down here.
It's pretty cool, man. I mean, and, something that we talk about a little bit on here, like with the internet, it's really good. It's awesome for independent music, independent, film, and things like that. Comedians are doing this a lot now, and they're taking like their specials and they'll just throw them on YouTube, and they get massive following, and then they sell their tickets and things like that. Right. But with movies, it's of course it's harder, but we found out, we've been doing this podcast for about 4 years now, and we found out that the podcast community, especially, and we had talked about this earlier, but with the horror genre and paranormal fans and all that kind of creepy stuff, they're very welcoming, and they're very good at helping promote things and pushing it, because we're all trying to strive for the same thing.
Right. There's no backbiting in what we do. It's funny. Everybody that we've met, it's like, oh, you're doing a podcast? Well, here, let me help you promote, and and let me help you do this. And we've got some friends of ours that are on some huge podcasts, and if we called them today, they'd, spend an hour or two on the phone with us, and they don't know us from Adam. I mean, it's just crazy.
That's a good segue. Like, Chris is a good friend who shot the movie. He was in whole other film company.
Yeah.
Right? But he's definitely wanting to be part of something bigger, just like we all are. And we're all just trying to help each other out.
Exactly.
And that's Eric Stanzik I'm speaking of, who was the DP of this film. And Chris can talk more about him. We talked about a little bit about him at the beginning of the podcast. And we had a couple other local filmmakers that are separate from 88 step up and help us out making props, looking for other locations for us. I mean, it's kind of the same with the, well, I guess we've all been doing independent film in St. Louis for a while. There's some younger guys we don't know.
Yeah.
But the ones who started off, 20 years ago, we're all pretty good friends. We try to help each other out, promote each other's.
That's cool. I mean, it's cool when you have a community like that where you're all after the same goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when you guys invited us on, we wanted to jump on yours first, obviously, because obviously, you got such a good following with the horror crowd. Right. But start now, and then when we really get this thing finished, hopefully there's some momentum going into it, and we can talk way more about the movie and kind of finishing touches and where it's going to premiere, those kind of things, and dive into some stuff where right now maybe we can't dive into.
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
We're still you guys are always welcome to come back on.
But once you guys have all that set up, we can help you promote, at least through our, small community that we have, and we've got some friends that are in some bigger name podcasts and stuff, and we can push it their way, and honestly, they'll do with it whatever they want, but
sure. Well, we hope everybody shows up for the St. Louis premiere when we show it.
Absolutely.
You can't really call it a premiere, it's a showing.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of weird crap you gotta dive
go
around
through
when it comes to distribution.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That distribution is a horror movie in itself, let me tell you.
Right.
With an unhappy ending.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys take care of your own distribution?
What's that?
Do you guys take care of your own distribution, or do you have to go through another company for that?
Sell by sign or nothing.
So, Red Night at Skies is our 7th feature film. The very first one, Amphetamine, got picked up by this company in New York, and they were bundled with a bunch of other, lower budget, similar genre films. And then that deal just kind of fell apart, and nothing went forward with that, which is fine. It's the first feature. Second feature, Rhineland. It's a World War II feature film. It took us 3 years in the winter to shoot.
Wow.
It's a fantastic movie. It really, really is.
Yeah, definitely for making a pretty accurate World War II film in Missouri with practically no money.
Yeah.
And having hundreds of reenactors and
bringing people back for 3 years
and dozens of vehicles. I mean, we had American vehicles, we had German vehicles, we had tanks, we had half-tracks, we had Jeeps, we had all that stuff.
Dude, did you get to drive a tank?
No.
Damn.
They did not let you touch the thing.
No. Did not get to drive a tank.
He'd be all
get to shoot a German machine gun, though.
I know a guy.
But that was our first film that we got in distribution, and the company they were not dishonest. They just didn't do any promoting whatsoever.
Right.
So it didn't really go anywhere. Didn't really do anything. The next film that we made after that, it's called Game of the Year. And that's the first mockumentary that we did. That we decided to do the self-distribution route.
Gotcha.
Which that was when DVD was still viable before streaming. Right. So I got a bunch of cases of DVDs in my basement, and I can give you a free one.
Nice.
Good movie.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I like DVDs.
Take two.
I like physical media too.
Take two. They're small.
And I will tell you guys this. Take it for what it's worth, but the horror genre, they will buy DVDs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
they will buy VHSs.
That's very true.
That's the thing
about
back
in a big way.
Yes, and that's the thing about it. That's why another reason it's so great for independent, actors and directors and things like that. Because if you're in this genre, like we talked about before, the passion is there. So your people's going to show up. and they're going to show up for you. And this is hopefully what we can do for you guys with this, crowdfunding thing. We can get you guys up to where you need to be at, so we can really push this movie to where you guys want it.
Yeah, we're hoping. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Do you mind if we talk about that a little bit?
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so we pretty much we're making this movie regardless.
It's already done.
Right, it's done.
It's already in the can.
It's in the can. It's at the editor right now. We're actually going down to Nashville here in a couple weeks to take a look at it and really move the thing forward. But there's certain elements you need in films, right, that kind of put you over the top. And copyrighted music is something that maybe separates something from a different movie, right, and kind of puts you in there, or fits the horror scene, right, builds the crescendo or something. And we got a couple of scenes in the movie that, there's a few songs that we're looking at. And then there's enhanced special effects, right, that really kind of separate yourself, and it looks like, you really put some time and some serious money into it. So we kind of got to the point where just like, you know what, we would love to be able to just take this thing over the top. And we say it's the cherry on the sundae, if you will,
gotcha.
To try to do that. So we said, you know what, we've never asked for a dime from the independent film community. We went out and got private investors on Red Night At Skies, and we scraped together and did what we needed to do behind the scenes. And, we said, you know what, in seven films, 20 years, we've really never asked the public or our friends to really support us through a crowdfund.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, why not on this one? We're trying to take the company to a different level. We've paid our dues. God knows we've paid our fair share of money. We've done it on our dime. We've honed our skills on our dime. We've brought things together on really Chris Grega's dime and Brock Roberts' dime. I just started giving money. That's what a producer does. They give money to.
Yeah,
right.
But
I need to get me a couple producers.
Man, we need a producer for this show.
But we honed we really did. We honed our skills. We figured out formulas. We figured out stuff, and that's where Red Night At Skye takes us. Is we think we've put the elements together, and you know what, we see a few more elements that we think we got such a great movie right now that, man, we can make it just that much better.
Yeah.
If it goes well, great, those elements will be in there. If it doesn't, which we hope it does, the movie's coming out regardless, and it's going to be a kick-ass movie. Yeah. So that's kind of where we've put this crowdfund out there. We've been humble about it. And just kind of said, you know what, if you give to independent things, if you believe in independent art, if you're a lover of horror movies, if you're a lover of this, please consider giving ours, man. If you got the financial means,
absolutely.
The lowest level's $10, and you get a thank you. You'll get an on-credit. You'll get scrolled through the credits. And then it's DVDs. And the kind of the
Dude, where's my wallet?
Exactly. Right. Hey, donate now. Show them that you're willing.
How about a signed script? How about that?
Oh, there you go.
So, we believe in, there's a lot of people out there. That's what crowdfunds are for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our family and friends have been sharing the hell out of it, and we're getting some momentum, but anything like this can help. And if you could put up a link or something, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you that. I'm going to throw this out there just because I have to. So, are you ever interested in some metal music?
I'm so glad you said that. I was just getting ready to say, how about some local
metal music?
You know what's crazy? Is that's the first thing everybody says when we say we're looking for some music. Everybody's like, oh, did you look at my side? Here's this, here's that.
Hey, horror and metal go together.
Yeah, all of a sudden, everybody's like Eddie Van Halen, right?
No.
No, we're talking about Mr.
Oh, you're talking like that?
No Eddie Van Halen, but
Gerald Turtle.
No, if you guys would ever, be looking for some metal music, I play for a band called LUNATIC. We have 3 full-length CDs out. All of it was self-produced. We own all the rights to it.
Awesome, man.
So if you guys would ever be interested in that, I'll send it over to you. You can use whatever you want.
And
and it wouldn't cost you a dime.
If you heard
I'll tell you exactly what I tell everybody else. We'll put your name in the hat and send send it over, because I wouldn't turn anybody down at saying what you're saying. Sure.
And if I don't know what you're looking for, but I mean,
we don't. Well, I have. We do. We might not be able to afford.
So I'm a pretty big fan of metal, and I'm not talking about Van Halen. Van Halen is great, but I mean, I'm like Amon Amarth, Sepultura. Propane.
I just went and saw Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel a couple of weeks ago.
You're talking beyond me, man.
I just saw Clutch and Went and saw Rob Zombie, Mudvayne.
Yeah, I was at that
Power
show.
Man 5000.
I was at that show. Dude, Static X killed it that night.
Yeah.
I could not believe it. I was like, man, I don't know. And then when they hit the stage, I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
Wayne
God.
Static's dead. How's this going to work?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but man, they sounded phenomenal.
I mean, JT, I don't know if you've listened to, if you ever heard any of our
It's funny,
podcasts.
Chris, growing up in the area where I was, I mean, Lunatic was huge in St. Louis in '96. You know,
It's
we were
It's a
everywhere,
requirement to
dude.
live in Imperial.
Everywhere.
It is, and you're cool.
But I mean, he
Yeah, it's just cool that you lived in Imperial. Shit.
I know. Right?
That's
I
good
saw
enough,
that in your bio, and I was like, my God, this guy's my best friend.
And now look, you guys are practically lovers with the metal music.
And now he's a metalhead. Dude,
We
Chris,
definitely
I
would
love
be-
you. No.
We definitely would check out your music.
No,
Yeah,
I definitely want
absolutely,
to hear it.
man.
So however you can get the file over to us, man, I'd love to hear it.
But
I'll send it over to Chris's email.
Cool,
I'll
thank you.
100% check it out. But I'll be honest, I don't know if it's
No,
going
I'm
to
not.
fit in Red Knight because I've got a pretty
Oh,
specific
no,
vision
that's
in
not what
mind.
I'm saying. You know,
But
if you ever need anything.
if you ever need any music, I mean,
We'll write the next movie around the music.
dude,
Yeah, Red Knight
There you
too.
go.
How about you?
do it.
well, there's a local band called the Spark Thugs, which are a pretty hard rock and roll band, and we've used their stuff in a bunch of our stuff.
Really? I've never
Yeah.
heard of them.
Oh man, they are my favorite local band.
No kidding.
Check them out, the Spark Thugs.
Spark
I cannot
Thugs?
sing their praises enough.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so if you get on our website and watch our web series called The Killer's Resolute, which is TKR,
Okay.
they blare it out, man. It just matches the tone of what we're showing. They
Nice.
just kick ass, and
Nice.
they are great. And I'm sure your music will be the same way. So I'm ready. I'm ready to hear.
You know, something I noticed on your guys' website that there was something on there, 48-hour something. What is that?
Go ahead and explain away, Chris.
Oh God. Okay, so there's a national, I guess international competition called the 48-Hour Film Project.
Okay.
And it started in St. Louis. Oh, it started in Washington, D.C., early 2000s, but it first came to St. Louis in 2004. And we've done it 10 or 11 times. And so the concept behind it is, a number of teams compete, and you are given a genre randomly, a prop, a line of dialogue, and a character. Those are all the same that have to be in the film. And you have to write, direct, shoot, the whole 9 yards, cast it.
Casting, that's important.
That is. You have to do all that within 48 hours.
Oh,
and
my
then have a
God,
complete film.
dude.
What is this,
I bet that's
7
fun,
minutes?
though.
It can be.
But it's like 7 minutes long.
Yeah. You're not trying to come up with a 2-hour feature-length film
No,
or
no,
anything, but
right.
but
We've
still,
done
I
that
mean,
a bunch.
that would be cool. So, do you have your own team, or they pick the team?
Oh, you assemble your own team.
Okay.
Yeah, so our production company, our pseudo-name
Right.
production company might go do one, and there's a lot of St. Louis production companies. A lot of people we know from the independent film community do them. So it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It
It's supposed
sounds
to
like
be
fun.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to challenge you. 'Cause you might
Chris
get
was
you-
like, I don't know that it's fun.
I've made a lot of 7-minute movies in my time.
That's about all you
Sure,
can
that
get
was
out of
7
you.
minutes. Come on, man.
3.5, man. Those are 3.5.
Hey, all the rest of it's credits and freaking everything else, you know.
It's all credits. But
That's what I want to know is who the hell has ever seen the credits on a porno? I mean,
They have credits?
that's what I'm saying. I don't. You know.
Hey, you never know if they're going to play like a next scene
Sometimes
from
I
a
don't
new
get,
movie.
Sometimes I don't get past the actress's name. You know, I mean,
true.
I don't get past the DVD case.
I'll tell you what, though. Our very best 48-hour, because we made some really good ones and some not so good ones. Our very best one, though, is straight up horror film.
nice.
And that won almost every award in St. Louis except for Best of City, which we've never won.
Yeah, if you go on there, it's called Through the Dark Lens, I think, right?
Through a Dark
Okay,
Lens.
I saw that in there.
Yeah, that one's kick-ass. So
That-
if you go see any of that's a good one. Vumame is a good one. The World War II one.
So
Yeah, Through
where
Dark Lens is a ghost story.
so where can we see these?
I think we have some up on the site, not all of them.
Okay.
And go ahead and shoot that site out again so people will know where to. What's the site?
That's 88mmfilms.com.
Right.
That way
We're actually reconstructing the whole website to make it a little bit easier for everybody because we do have some cool new stuff we want to put on there, and that'll be coming out probably by the time this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And also, this is a new thing. A lot of our films are going to be available for rent or buy.
Oh, there you go.
There.
Awesome.
Nice. Right through your website.
Right through the website.
Yeah.
Okay, because I noticed while I was on there, I found Sound of Nothing on Amazon.
Yeah, you can get Sound of Nothing on Amazon. Circling back to distribution, what we talked about earlier.
See, we do this all the time.
I know. That was the first. Well, that was the second film we really pushed hard to go to a legitimate distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of independent filmmakers, our experience was less than pleasant.
But we got to go to Florida for it.
We did get, well, that was for the festival.
Right.
But
I don't know that I'd be proud of having to go to Florida, though.
What? I would.
So after that experience, the next two films we did, Weldon Creek and 35 Days. Weldon Creek's a documentary about World War II reenactors, which I met all those guys when we made Rhineland and made a documentary about them. And then 35 Days was our last feature. Probably my personal favorite. It's a tribute to a very good friend of mine who was an actor in the first feature, Steve Heffernan, who passed away.
Is also in Sound of Nothing.
Yeah, he was in a lot of our stuff.
Right. Fantastic guy.
And so the story behind that is it's a story of a failed filmmaker who goes back after 10 years to finish the movie he abandoned a decade before because his friend passes away. So that was my way to give Steve a final role, if you will.
Yeah.
Actually, we're screening that on the 15th of October.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, so our two films after Sound of Nothing, Weldon Creek and 35 Days, we decided, you know what? We're not going to self-distribute. We're not going to go to a distributor. We're just going to sit on them until after we put out something bigger.
Yeah, and hopefully, tandemly they just see this movie. Oh, what else have they made? And they'll check out those movies.
Right. So if Red Night At Skye has success, which we anticipate it does, then they're going to go back to our website and go, oh, look at this. We got Sound of Nothing. We got these other movies that are in the genre, from the horror film, people. Yeah. They're going to go back and maybe grab some of those other ones. So if you look at, you said, kind of Amazon, that's because it's in distribution. We really don't own the rights to that movie anymore because somebody else is pumping it and they have it out on Amazon.
I got you.
If you look at the rest of the movies that are on there, we personally put them up on Vimeo. Vimeo.
We're doing it through Vimeo.
So we're going to do it through Vimeo.
Yeah, so that money goes to you guys.
Exactly. So, yes, distribution can be helpful because there's a wider audience. But our experience, and as we try to figure it out, we're trying to find somebody that's really going to push us.
And this is what I'm telling you guys.
So Vimeo, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But so Vimeo, if people go in there and they rent your movie, you guys actually make money off of that?
Oh yeah, go straight to them.
That's right,
dude.
That's how it should make 90% of whatever it is, or 80%. I don't know what the actual deal is, but yeah, you get the majority of it. They just have to pay themselves. They'll continue the platform.
Right. Yeah, that's how I pay for because I buy either a half or a whole cow, and that's how I got to pay for my deposit and all that stuff through Vimeo. So it's really easy to use.
Oh, nice.
So it's
not Venmo. Not Venmo. Vimeo.
Vimeo.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Vimeo's like classy YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
With
people can
class.
go on there. They can rent your movie, and you get some proceeds on that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that's how it was.
At this point, we are projected to make $20 to $30.
Yeah, no, seriously, we can split it up. You guys can have a piece of that.
You guys can have a gallon of gas.
So that's $10 a piece.
And also, the thing about this distribution is, having all the right pieces for your script and hiring the right type of actors, and obviously the director and everything, but. One thing that we're missing out on some of the other films is having any type of leverage with the name actor, which we tried using leverage on Red Night At Skye with a name actor. And
who is that?
I think this is going to help out with the distribution side of what we're doing here.
And tell us who that actor is.
Well, go ahead, Chris. I'll let you announce.
No, are we supposed to say that?
Yeah, we can say.
Can you say that?
If you can't, don't.
If you can't, that's fine.
But if you can,
we know.
We're talking
But
on podcast. You know.
Well,
Well, you know what? Let's wait till we get on next time. But
Okay.
It's
Perfect.
And I'll just say, you know, it's an icon in the horror thing.
Okay.
You know, I may have not mentioned his name earlier in the podcast. Talking
we
about
may or
something
may
else.
not have. Right.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you go look at the poster, go look at IMDb.
Okay.
Right.
His name is on there, but we technically are not supposed to mention it in any connection with the crowdfund whatsoever.
Right.
So.
Right. So, but we did bring in that element, like Brock said, and we believe that's going to push us at least because people want to see that, right? It
Right.
draws,
Yeah, and-
it draws the business side of
Absolutely.
things.
yeah.
I know whenever, because Brock had talked to me about this earlier in the year when you guys were working on it, and when he mentioned that to me, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You're kidding me. And he's
Yeah, you
like,
kidding me?
"No."
Because some people found out he was in town in St. Louis, and Reddit picked it up, and they were running with it a little bit, like, "Oh, we can't believe this guy's in town." Blah blah
Right.
blah.
What's he doing in St. Louis?
Right, what's he doing? Because we kept it under wraps so much, you know.
Right.
So there was starting to get a draw, but
Yeah.
Well, and
Well, we-
that again comes from the passion of horror fans,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's
That's
what's
right.
and that's what's
And I'm telling you, when horror fans finally get that name, they're going to flock to this.
Yep.
and we hope this is a teaser for some of your
Right.
fans to stay tuned and,
Yeah.
and wait for Red Night at Skies to come out, or when we can talk about it a
Absolutely.
little bit. And you know what, he does podcasts and stuff, so maybe we can bring him on yours.
Oh, that
Maybe
would be awesome.
If I
That
can
would
figure
be
out something. His agent is cool as crap.
I would
and,
have a freaking
We'd have a field day with them.
Yeah, you know what? I think we could do that if we it's about pumping the movie, right? So if
Yeah.
we got something going on with the movie, and we can pump it. Hey,
Absolutely.
What's cool about it, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's easy. It's easier to be able to crowdfund for this genre of film, and because you don't really hear those are action movie fans.
Right.
Those are comedy movie fans.
Yeah.
It's-
Those are rom-com fans.
But what you do hear constantly is, that's a horror fan. And
yeah.
you
I mean, they don't have rom-com conventions.
Yeah,
They
I
have
was just
horror
going to say the
conventions.
exact. You stole the words out of my mouth.
Sorry, Chris.
No, you nailed it, man. They do not have conventions for
bastard, man.
for other
I
film
know.
genres.
I bet there's a rom-com convention somewhere.
it's inside my
Yeah,
damn.
and Ryan's dying to go to that, too.
It's inside my wife's freaking room right now, and I got to go in there and watch it.
Exactly.
Although I will tell you, there are a couple I like. I love that movie. P.S. I Love You. It's a rom-com.
Oh, Gerard
Butler. I'm Irish. I'm like 45% Irish. So I got anything that has to do with that area. I love.
I worked with Gerard years ago.
Oh, you
Did you
lucky
really?
bastard!
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here, this
there was
this
a-
is funny. One of my guilty pleasure movies is a Gerard Butler movie, and I don't know that it's really a guilty pleasure, but Dracula 2000.
Okay.
I absolutely love that.
That's
movie.
a guilty pleasure, dude.
Thank you.
See,
Hey.
when people ask me my guilty pleasure movie, I always tell them, Dracula 2000.
Here he
you're not,
is.
as a horror fan, you're not supposed to like that movie.
Here
I like it.
he is trying to tell us about how he actually worked with him, and you're sitting here talking about.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Sorry, Brock.
Well, yeah, just a real quick side note.
Game of Their Lives.
Yeah, the Game of Their Lives, it's turned into the movie called A Miracle Match. It was a movie about the 1950s St. Louis soccer team.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they shot that in 2003 in St. Louis, all around St. Louis, because everybody on that team was from St. Louis and from the St. Louis area. So I got to work on that. I was hired in as a stand-in actor. And if people who don't know what that is, it's a guy who comes in and watches the real actors do their shit in front of the camera. Then I got to go in front of the camera and work with the director, who was David Anspaugh, who directed like Hoosiers and Rudy, same director of this movie.
Nice.
So I get to work with those guys, which is really, really fun to do and learn a lot about the technicalities of making movies. But this is like a $20 million film or $30 million. It's a super big movie.
Right.
And so I got to work with those guys. And I guess on the second day of filming, Gerard, who was one of the main actors in the movie, playing Frank Borghi, the goalie who led the team. And the very first day he came in, he got so pissed because he couldn't make this one save that's really going to sell this part of the movie. And he's getting so pissed. I can't do it. And the director took him off to the side, and you can hear him giving the director hell. And the director David just took him over by the shoulder and said, "Hey man, I believe in you. I think you can do it." And he settled him down. The next kick, he actually made the save, went in the movie. And so the first impression was, man, this guy, come on, man. First day on set, you're being a little bitch.
Right.
But then actually, after getting to know him, because he was starting to be a big star at the time, it was right before 3000 came out. 300 came out, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So he's well known, but not super famous yet.
Right.
But there's still a lot of people in town, just clawing at this guy, right? So he had a little bit of a standoffish about him, like a lot of the other actors in the movie. And there's a lot of them. If you look at the movie, there's a lot of named actors in that movie. And after we got to know each other, he knew that I personally wasn't trying to get him for anything. We were just working together. We actually became pretty good friends on set. We're not buddies now.
Yeah.
I get it.
That of all the actors in that movie, he's the only actor I decided I wanted to take a picture with at the end of the film. And we was at the wrap party together and had a good time. And that's the last time I saw him was at the wrap party. But he's a pretty good dude.
That's cool.
Cool, yeah, man. It's going back to like the distribution and things like that, and putting your own stuff out. I think now more than ever, people are seeing that they can do this. They can put their own stuff out. They can, talk to the fans and say, "Hey, we need some help. You guys really want to watch this? We just need some help to get it where we want it to be for you guys." And that's why, that's why I'm really fucking beating a dead horse here. But that's what's cool about it. The dedication that the horror fans have to, once they see something and they know it's good, they're like, yeah.
If they check out the video on Indiegogo, I think that gives them enough to chew on, man. I think that video is really well put together. It's actually from our trailer.
Yeah.
That our editor put together, the kick-ass trailer. So
we can't wait to show that.
Yeah.
I just showed that to Ryan right before you guys came on.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I think that gives enough for horror fans to chew on and go, what the hell is this going to be about? I got to see this movie.
Yeah.
This looks freaking cool as shit.
And just so you guys know, I mean, if you're ever interested, since you're somewhat local to us, I mean, Brock knows where we're at. We're not too far from up there. But, I'm working on something right now. I'm working on a convention to put on down here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a lot of stuff I'm trying to put together.
There's no horror conventions in Missouri anymore.
And
now Chicago's the closest, I think.
Right.
Well, it's more than what I'm trying to do. It's going to be more than horror. It's horror for sure, but paranormal. We're going to have authors, and stuff like that. And if you guys ever want to come down and once I get everything going, we could shoot you a message, be like, hey, you guys want to come up, put a booth and sell movies, whatever, come talk. If you guys want
get all those movies out of your basement. Get all those DVDs out of your basement.
We will sell
Bring them down, and we'll sell the shit out of those for you.
Is there beer involved? Will there be beer?
I am working.
I'm sure we can do something with that.
It takes a lot. It's a passion of mine, man. And it's funny. It's funny. Someone else we just did another interview. Our last one we did with somebody, and he's pretty up there with some things in our genre, and he's like, dude, do it. He's like, just don't hesitate. Do what you want to do with it. And he's like, I'll help you out as much as I can. I'll be there. So I'm like, I might as well do it. No one's getting in on it. And I like promoting everyone else too. I love seeing people do good.
Absolutely.
And it's funny that some people think there's competition. It doesn't have to be competition. There's enough for everyone. And I like putting that out there. I like promoting people, and I like seeing the smile on people's faces when they're doing great. And I think that's a reward for everyone, or for a decent person anyway.
You know what? You say that, and that's one of our missions as 88 Films. If we ever do something we're actually making a living, and we're not talking, we just want enough to really just get paid doing independent films, right? We're not looking to make millions of dollars.
I'm looking to make millions of dollars.
There you go, Brock.
I just need to make 1 million.
But we want to be the guys who can give back to another young filmmaker or produce things and actually give the money that people may have said, hey, next time you do a movie, look me up, I can give you money. those people generally aren't around once you get an idea and you're serious about it.
Right.
But we want to be the guys that go, you know what? We got a few bucks. Let's take it under your wing. We got a hell of a director here. Chris is a great writer. Brock's a great actor. You know, I love to act, and, you know, I'm getting good at producing, I guess.
You're a badass producer.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Right, exactly. You know, we would love to put those skills together and help somebody else out. You know, we're a few years away from that, but it's that kind of, like you were saying, man, if I could just put something together and just be happy for everybody, there's enough of the pie to go around for everybody.
Right.
Well, one of the things we've talked about is, you know, further down the line, depending how things go, is getting into the distribution game ourselves.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I like to think we're three very honest people, and so many distributors are not honest.
Right.
Not even close.
And so many filmmakers fall into those traps where, you know, they put everything into the film and they get nothing in return.
Right.
And if I would love to be in a position where it's like, look, we're honest people. If this film can make money, you're going to make money. We'll make money. Everyone makes money. And if it can't, it can't.
Yep.
But there's nothing worse than you breaking your back to make a movie, and then someone else profits off your sweat and your struggle, and you end up with nothing.
Seven nothing.
These distributors got to take in a crap ton of content in order to get one that hit. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But they tell everybody the exact same thing, and that's what I think is unfair, is they're going to promote it. Well, you can't promote it in 6 months. My film's no longer the hot thing anymore unless it was a Blair Witch Project or something like that hit.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's a few films out there that have done that. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to say. You know, don't take on too many movies. Promote them as best you can.
Yep.
Don't lie and be transparent.
Transparency.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to get your hits. So I don't know. It's just I agree with you, Chris.
Nothing worth doing is easy. And I learned that from when I first started doing martial arts. You know, I just do MMA and stuff, so I used to do a little fighting and stuff, and I was like, I learned that real quick. It's like, if this was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
And, you know, that struggle is what makes the fruit taste so much sweeter when it happens.
The struggle is real.
And, yeah.
It definitely is.
We're feeling it all the time.
Yeah.
We're always struggling.
No, and you know what? We want people to come on our sets, you know, when we do the next one and even this one. Everybody got paid on our set.
That's right.
Everybody got treated like a professional, and, you know, that's going to go along.
Most of them were professionals. You know,
exactly. And that goes a long way when you're trying to get people to work that extra hour because you can't pay them overtime or whatever it is. You know, that just goes a long way. Or somebody giving you a free location.
Hey, speaking about making a movie, Chris, you could probably talk about how strenuous it was to actually make the film because we only had so much time to make this film. So that was the hardest thing about this film is the time crunch we had to make it.
Well, yeah. So Cruiser was a full-time budgeted film, right? We were going to shoot that in something like 35 days.
Yeah.
In order to make Red Knight, we basically had to cut the budget for Cruiser in half. And Cruiser, the budget was considerable. It was
up there.
It was still by Hollywood standards, a low-budget film, but for an independent film, it was a pretty good-sized budget.
Six figures.
We had to cut that in half and basically almost half that again to make Red Knight. So as a consequence, we also had to cut our shoot basically in half. So what should have been a 32-day, 35-day shoot was crammed into 16 days.
Wow.
Damn.
And again, without the talents of Eric Stanzi and his crew, the Grip and Electric and cinematographer, his people, it never would have happened.
No, not even close.
Because Stanzi, again, you need to have him on the podcast because he's been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, check out Wicked Pixel if you want to look at some good horror movies.
Wicked Pixel Cinema.
Yeah, if you want to see some good, he'd be a good interview too. I 100% agree with that because that's why we brought him in. Because he can run and gun and he knows how to shoot this shit.
That's awesome. Yeah, we were watching. We were watching. You know, the trailer. And we both were just looked at each other like, man, this is like.
Yeah, the first thing I said to Ryan is I was like, look at the production of this. I mean, this does not look like an indie film. I mean, it's got high budget production.
That's why you don't tell people what your movies cost.
Right.
What do you think my movie cost me?
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I said that's why when people watch it, it's a kind of a double-edged sword when we hear, well, this looks like a real movie. Well, no shit.
Oh, yeah.
we're professionals.
They're all. Yeah.
It's a real movie, but we have Eric was just there wasn't anybody close around here that could do what he did for us. And man, hats off to Eric and his crew is just amazing to us. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, the one thing I've always been very cognizant of as a filmmaker, and I will say I have noticed this in a lot of independent films, local and otherwise. Everyone is really big on what camera they're shooting on, the cinematography. Oh, I'm shooting on the red, this. I'm shooting 4K, 8K, that. For me, it's like it's a movie. It's supposed to look good.
Right. Yeah.
What's always been important to me, apart from the story. Story's number one.
Absolutely.
Right. Story's number one, acting's number two, but number three is production design. You have to make a believable looking world for people to engage with.
Right.
And that's something I've always put a lot of thought and effort into is the design of the film.
Yeah, and I noticed that. That's funny you're saying that because I noticed that whenever I was watching the trailer and I was sitting there thinking there's a scene where I think we're watching the trailer to the other movie, but one of the movies we were just watching that you guys had done, the guy was walking into like an abandoned store.
That was Son of Nothing.
Yes, yeah. And when he's walking in there and just the way the darkness, the leaves blown in, the way it looked, I'm like, that's what it would freaking look like if
Right.
And that's exactly what I was thinking in my head the whole time. I was like, that's awesome. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think just give credit to like Zach Elston for the special effects on this. He did a hell of a job for us on some of the stuff he brought to the table. He was real professional. He's
another guy you need to get on your podcast.
Scott Brahan, he was our production designer on this.
Yeah. I mean, he brought it, and some of these guys I've never worked with before, brought them on set, constant professionals, just blew it out of the water. You could just say, here's your job, and they ran with it, which is different from independent film. Usually you're guiding them along, and you're feeding them stuff, and you end up doing everybody's job.
Another cool thing about Red Night At Skye is the practical effects because of Zach Elston.
I was just going to mention that. Kudos to you guys for using practical effects. Not many filmmakers do that anymore.
That was one of my sticking points from the beginning. It's like, okay, we got to have a name actor. That's number one. And it's got to be bloody. And we have to use a lot of practical effects.
Yes. Especially, we talk about that often.
Yeah, all the time.
Practical effects
And I just want to say, I'm not one of those people that absolutely hates all digital effects. Like,
There's a time and a place for them.
Yeah, you watch Marvel movies; they look awesome.
Right.
You couldn't do that stuff 30 years ago.
Perfect example, real quick. You guys have all seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have you watched the remake?
No.
So
lucky you.
Actually, the film is the movie's filmed awesome. I love the whole thing, except you can't replace Robert Englund. It's just one of those things.
Right.
But what I was going to say is the scene. So they redo the scene. So where Freddy Krueger comes through the wall over top of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where Johnny Depp's at?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when he's coming through the wall, how it looked. You know how it looked like he was actually gonna come.
Yeah. Well, the scene he's talking about, Nancy's laying in the bed, and you see the wall stretch out, and you see
his head's coming
and the hands,
and his hands, and he looks like he's getting ready to bust through go through the wall, but
right.
So they redo that in the new one, but it's CGI, and it looks
horrible.
lame,
horrible.
And
going back to Carpenter, The Thing, you had the original Thing from '82, and you have the sequel.
Yep.
There's no comparison.
No
comparison to the original, man. That still holds up today.
Oh yeah. Some of those.
And one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and one of my favorite uses of practical effects is American Werewolf in London.
Oh my God, Rick Baker.
It still looks
Rick
good.
Baker
Rick
was
fucking
the
Baker.
man. That is still the best werewolf transformation ever put on film.
100% agree.
Absolutely,
I kinda like the one
Rick
Gene
Baker
was.
was a genius.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And not that we're anywhere near this, but one of the concepts I have is a werewolf movie set in the 80s.
Oh, dude.
In a very much Lost Boys, American Werewolf kind of style.
Right.
Perfect.
But,
That would be killer.
See, that's what
neither here nor there.
that's
at this point.
that's what horror fans want to. I have it sounds
Yeah.
awesome to me.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I was trying to say. Like our buddy DA who writes these books, he's got it's a lot of werewolf.
Yeah, he does a lot of werewolf stuff. He's really big into cryptids and dogmen. He's got this series called Apex Predator, and it's about werewolves
Awesome.
and stuff.
Awesome.
And he's a very good writer too. He just lives in Springfield.
You guys will meet him
yeah.
once you come down to the convention. You guys will meet him because he'll be there.
Set our booth right
Yeah,
next to
exactly.
it.
Exactly. Let's do a meet and greet with everybody.
But yeah, man. I mean, when you guys can talk more about everything, you guys are more than welcome to come back on.
Yeah,
here. I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And also,
Anytime.
speaking of practical effects, we also had guns used in the movie, which
That's a no-no anymore, isn't it?
Well, you know,
Yeah, after Rust.
Yeah.
You guys
Right,
didn't have no
so-
Baldwin issues, did you?
well,
No.
we really had to tread very lightly, and we had to treat everything careful. We always did anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, every movie that Chris has ever made, and I've been in all of them, we have used some sort of gunfire.
Yeah.
And Chris, you can talk. We've always been safe, and we've even had explosions on the set of Rhineland, obviously, to get the bombs
Right.
and the mortar rounds. And we always had a gun wrangler and everything. But this was a little bit different because it's brought to the spotlight from the set of Rust and Alec Baldwin
Oh
issue.
yeah.
And we had to shoot the very next day. Like it was like the first time we were actually using fake guns that shoot fake rounds, but they did have their blanks.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like I said, we're not using CGI bullets and gunfire. We're not holding plastic guns and going like this.
Right.
You know, we actually have prop guns, what they're made for.
Yeah.
And they're all safe. And we had a gun ring on set. And, and he's super professional. And, you know, one of the first things he said was, you know, nobody else touches this prop gun that I'm going to give you. So me as an actor, you know, probably before I would have maybe have let another actor look at my pistol because it's cooler than
Right.
his.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Now this that's probably about the only thing that we did change in the set is like nobody touches
Yeah, we had a
anybody's gun.
whole series of protocols you had to go through. But I mean, that was equally important. You know, we didn't want to have like a plastic gun with like an added muzzle flash in post because that looks fake.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you can see in the teaser, you know, the blank gunfire is real. You know, it just adds to it. But at the same time, you got to be very safe, very careful. And we've been doing this for 20-something years. We've had firearms in all of our features, I think, with one exception. And we've never had an incident because we've never played around with it.
Right.
Right. And
Exactly.
Good.
I mean, you're
there's
there.
always been checks and balances in place, and you know, you never have a live round anywhere near set. There's no reason to ever do that
Yeah,
for any reason whatsoever.
because then you have a damn incident like in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Crow.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Gosh darn. Yeah, that was like, that one kind of just came and went, and this one's kind of hanging around. It didn't seem like the industry really made a lot of changes because of that.
Well, I think that was a hit. The Yakuza did it, I guarantee it.
Oh, you think that? Okay.
Oh, here we go. It's conspiracy
Hey,
time.
listen, they did the same thing to Bruce, man, I'm telling you.
No, Bruce is still alive.
I'm telling you, man.
He's in Canada.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Shit, there's somebody at my door.
no, you know, The Crow is probably one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, it's my top three. But
It's a good movie.
Yeah, the novel's pretty dang cool too. That's
well,
really
it's
good.
funny you say that because we just interviewed the last interview we did. The guy who we interviewed, he does the graphic novels and things like that and comics, and he actually worked with the guy who did those comics.
Yeah. God, what was his name?
Which one?
Well, so we had Josh Warner on last week. He did a graphic novel about the Winchester Mystery House. And he actually worked with the guy that did the Crow series.
Okay. that the movie was based off
before it was
of?
made a movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of cool. So he told us a little bit about that guy, and he actually because of that guy, they created a specific award for graphic novels, and Josh ended up winning that award. He was the first one to win it, and he said, I pretty much broke down on stage because this guy was a really good friend of his, you know, and he was just happy to be nominated, much less win.
Yeah.
You know? So,
but it's just it's really cool to you know, like I said, it's a circle. You guys, you know, everything is somewhat connected. You run into us, so we run into you, and then you know this person and that person, and
yeah. And I gotta say, I appreciate it too, because I mean, you guys, we make movies, but now this podcasting platform that you guys are into now, you guys really help out a lot of people that wouldn't have an outlet with no platform.
Exactly.
You know, so what you guys do is equally as important as making movies. You guys are the ones pushing movies, and not just horror movies, but whatever cool genre. You know, I think it's really cool what you guys do.
And it's funny, we kind of got into this just on a whim, really.
We got into it because of our passion for, you know,
we would sit around and talk about movies and heavy metal, you know, and Ryan says to me, he's like, man, we ought to do a podcast. And I was like, what the fuck's a podcast?
Right. Yeah.
Now here we are 4 years ago, and I'm producing these things.
So what are the bands you're into?
So my all-time favorite band is Slayer.
Nice.
I grew up on that 80s thrash metal, you know, so Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, you know, big four.
That's
you know,
my stuff right there.
But, you know, like I said, I just saw Testament at Exodus. In November, I'm going to see Ginger. You know, I even, you know, I like Cannibal Corpse and Amon Amarth and, you know, all of that stuff. I'm just a big metalhead. I have them forever.
I like Cannibal Corpse, but only if Ace Ventura is singing.
I'm more into Taylor Swift.
Oh God.
He's got a blank space.
Taylor Swift's on my workout playlist.
I bet she is.
Not really. My workout playlist is pretty gnarly.
But I listen to all kinds of stuff. I mean, I get into jazz, and you know, I really like a lot of the old Motown stuff. I'm a bass player, so I kind of tend to follow that stuff that makes your butt wiggle, you know. And
yep.
I'll make your butt wiggle.
I bet you will. Slap it and ride the wave in. Now we're getting all dirty.
No, it's
now we're to the dirty portion of the show.
No, I've been trying.
Let me tell you how I got cast.
See what had happened was.
Yeah.
No, see, I was talking to JT about this because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because people love what we do because we make the people who come on our show very comfortable.
We try to. Yeah.
And, you know, we just have a conversation. That's all this is. And we don't restrict ourselves on anything. So sometimes our conversations get really fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, when we start doing interviews with people, and like tonight, you know, we start doing interviews with people, and I'm like, I think we should really, you know, when we interview these actors and directors and stuff, maybe we should like try to be professional about it.
No,
and I'm like,
change.
No.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's we tried, and it's just like, dude, people love us for a reason.
Yeah,
and that's it's speaking of just being independent. You know, same thing happened with music. You know, these big labels or these big production companies in Hollywood or whatever, they buy these things and because people like it. And then what they do, as soon as they get it, they change it.
Right.
And it's like, why would you change something when the reason why you bought it is because people love
it?
You know?
Well, and then you look at other aspects, like, you know, you look at a band like Queen, you know, music written by Brian May, Freddie Mercury, you know, and then you look at, like, Beyonce, music written by 30 different people. You know, it's like, where's the talent, you know, really at there, you know? And I don't know. I'm going off on a weird tangent. Huh?
Yeah, Beyonce has a lot of talent. Just look at her.
Yeah, it's in here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's in this area.
But, you know, that goes along with the record companies. I mean, that's what they're wanting, you know. And you guys run into that same crap with your distribution companies, you know. they see your product, they love it, but then they won't help you push it.
Well, that's sort of the good news about how things have changed quite a bit, right? Like sort of the power is more in the hands of the people now than it ever has been before.
Right.
So as far as distribution goes with this film, we've learned a lot from 15, 20 years ago. We're in a very different spot. So essentially, I'm very confident everyone we take it to is going to want it because it has all the elements.
We already have people wanting the movie.
Yeah, that's very true. So essentially, unless we are 100% happy with the deal offered, and I mean 100% happy,
Right.
We're not going to sign with anybody, and we'll distribute the thing ourselves.
Right.
Now, I would prefer not to. I would prefer to partner up with an honest distributor who wants to help us further each other along and wants to help our career, wants to help them sell more movies. That's what I want. I want someone who wants to partner with us, who's going to help us all grow. But if we can't find that, then damn it, we're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey,
we got a legal team behind us now to make sure we don't sign anything stupid.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, guys, we'll say our goodbyes once we hang up. But it's been awesome having you on. And again, if you guys have anything else, when you can talk more about everything and whatnot, you're more than welcome to
By
shoot
all
us a
means,
message.
I mean, you guys know how to get a hold of us. Well, we'd love to help you.
But before
by all means, check out our website if you
and the
want
crowdfund.
This is what I was going to say. Before we go,
if it's something, go on there. You can see a kick-ass video of Red Night at Skies, and go on 88mm films, and check us out. We got a whole 20 years worth of work out there, and
some of it's good.
And I think this one will come out in early 2023.
Yep.
So that's what we're pushing for, and you guys are actually invited. You guys can come to the premiere and that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
Thanks for having us on, man. It's kick ass.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
You're welcome, and hopefully, once this is said and done and we get it out there, we can maybe get that big name actor on your podcast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You'll be the first people we come back to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love that.
Yeah, guys.
All right, so let us. Yeah, we're going to say our goodbyes, but don't hang up. We'll be back with you here in just a second. All right.
Okay.
Appreciate
it.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, horror fan, that was an awesome one. Go out there and show some support.
Yeah, definitely. Check them out. It's 88mmfilms.com.
And, they're doing what we love. They're making movies we want to see. So, guys, go help them out so we can make it great and keep our genre going. So,
absolutely.
We love you, horror fam. Thank you for your support as always. You know that. But more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.